Hey, how you doing? Grand Illusion Port 3. How you doing? That old saying, it was a dark and stormy night. Well, it's storming outside and it's dark. How you doing? I got most people think they know all of the illusions and delusions that humanity suffers. I've certainly got more than a few up my sleeve that I'm sure you don't know. By the way, I had to go to Costco today, into the grocery store, and everybody's panicking like a lunatic. I just went out to get some things that I actually needed, a couple of things. People were hoarding, like they were literally, you've seen people, they stick their hand and they like push everything off the shelf into their cart. I actually saw that a few times. Since it's actually going to get worse before it gets better, there's going to be shortages because the supply chain, there's a term for it, and it's called it's supply chain logistics, and they have a term for it, and it's called whiplash. It could be actually supply side or demand side, but right now there's a demand side whiplash that's really, it's going to cause problems here in the very near future. But that's not what this video is about. I mean, it kind of is. I mean, ultimately, and I'm not into, really, not a sociologist, but I'm really, really good at observation. A lot of people think like when Romans threw people to the lions, and they did horrible, horrible atrocities, and people were the Romans in the Colosseum were buying drinks and snacks while people were getting their heads whacked off and stuff like that. It's like, that's really callous, right? There's actually an instinct behind that that's purely native, and it's within inside every human being and also to animals, and it is instinctive. People think, well, these people are amoral, they just have no moral compass, and I actually don't believe in morality. There's amorality, and there's morality, and then there's the opposite of both, which is, immorality and morality, and there's the opposite of both, which is amorality. But it's the exact same thing that farmers do to chickens and pigs, and since most of you are not farmers, you probably don't know this, like when chickens hatch out, if you got a bunch of chickens, I mean, even like a dozen or so, yeah? Especially if you're like a chicken farmer. What they do is they have this little device, and it hacks off, the bill of the chickens, so they don't peck each other to death. Yeah? There's a little, I don't think it's the egg tooth on the bill of the chicken, because what they do is they literally hack off the end of the chickens, because the egg tooth disappears as the chicken rapidly grows, but they still want to peck each other to death, and so what they do is they hack off the tip of the chicken's bill. And pigs are the same way. There's a special tooth. I think it's a tooth. I forget which it is, but it's like a tooth. And they do the same thing to piglets, because the same thing goes for chickens, it goes for pigs, it actually goes for any animal. Even ostrich farmers do this too. Ostriches have the same thing. However, they're not kept in like really tight quarters. Ostriches aren't, but they are for a short period of time as they're growing up underneath the heat lamp and whatnot. And I actually have an incubator in my basement. I've actually hatched out a lot of feathered creatures, so I actually know something about this crap. But human beings have the same instinct. And it's the same instinct if you have too much of something. Like rich people. Like rich people, some rich people, they might like have 100 cars, and they all might be insanely valuable. When you have too much of something, there's this native instinct in all living creatures to not really give a crap. And of course, this is the reason, it's a good thing in many instances. Like if you have too much money, then it's okay to lose $1 million, right? It's like, okay, I lost $1 million, but I'm a billionaire. Who gives a damn about that? But the same is true of other human beings, and this kicks in, and it doesn't matter what frigging religion you're a part of, okay? Whether you're moral or immoral, or even amoral, there's a native instinct that kicks in human beings, just like it did for the Romans. Where there's too many people around that, whether that be on social media or collectively, that people will peck each other to death, kind of like the chickens will. And there are various levels of that. There's harassment and bullying. And this is true in schools. And this has been observed all over the world. So it doesn't matter what part of the world you're from or what frigging religion you're a part of or not a part of. It always holds true. It's kind of like undeniable things like sex drive and, the desire to eat and sleep. And there is this unspeakable instinct that I've not heard anybody talk about it anywhere. There might be some video somewhere, someone might have talked about it. I've not seen anybody talk about it. When there's too many human beings around, they all want to kill each other. Or, beat the crap out of each other. It's the same reason why the Romans took life. There's life everywhere. Life is cheap. This is the reason why Romans had slaves. There's many reasons why Romans had slaves. Unfortunately, people love to have a lot of life around so they could actually use it and abuse it. But they also, when there's too much life around, they love to destroy it. There is this natural instinct, just like the chickens. You get more than 3 chickens in a certain size receptacle area as they're growing up. They will peck the hell out of each other. One will kill the other 2, or at least one of them, so there's only 2 left. And it's okay. We got enough elbow room to breathe. This instinct kicks in humans the exact same effing way it kicks in chickens and pigs. This is absolutely undeniable. Right now, there are no, of course, not right now, there are no new lands, for people to leave and go to, unless you consider space, or like creating a new island out in the Pacific Ocean or something. Human beings now can't get away. Humanity all throughout history, when there's overcrowding, and of course, what you consider the definition of overcrowding to be, we could sit here and argue about for 100 years. But we all kind of know what it is. Human beings will naturally and instinctively, even if they're extremely peaceful, kick off war. Okay? The larger governments of the world know this. And there's only 2 ways humanity will go out in the next 10 years. It's either with a bang or a whimper, or possibly a bang and a whimper. Humanity, when it reaches a crescendo, a breaking point, it crosses a barrier, a threshold, it will self-destroy, whether that be war or, we of course have much better weaponry than the Romans did, so you could let your mind wander on that. So that is coming. The only way around that, the only way, and I mean this literally, this is no tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff. There are intelligent people in governments that know this, and the only way to counteract that natural instincts, just like the chickens had their beaks cut off, yeah? Keep them from pecking each other to death. There's a way to do that to human beings, and that is, you need to track them and you need to control them. There's actually 2 important things every government wants to do to every citizen. All their little chickens, yeah? That's what every government, no matter what government you're in, every government thinks its citizens are little chickens. You need to track them. You ever seen a cow when it gets like a tag in its ear? You might see the big hole in my ear. They get a tag in their ear. You got to track it. That's Bob's cow. He crossed the fence. That's his cow. Track it. Yeah. Control it. You control what it eats. You control what it thinks. It's like the Japanese make that special Kobe beef, which is very, very expensive. They want complete control over it. The cows have no idea that, they're being fattened up to be butchered. They feed the cows really expensive food and cheeses, and they got people literally massaging the cows while they're eating to make them really relax because it makes the beef a certain way. And people pay an awful lot of money for that. That's control. Every government is doing that to every citizen. And the only way to counteract this mutual chicken pecking thing, and like I said, it's true of little piglets, they do it to piglets, is to do the human clip, if you will, and I don't mean a physical clip of a body part. Actually, I'm talking about, people used to do that back in the day, too. They used to think that if you'd, hack off various body parts, that would solve things, and to a very small degree, it certainly does, but the only way you could do that on a mass scale without someone's permission and do it surreptitiously, i.e. in a sneaky way, is to alter their moods through what they eat, the drugs that they take. So everybody walking around is just a pacified zombie. You know it and I know it, and Americans are really bad at that. I know I'm fat, but I see people like way fatter than me just walking around, just like, ugh. You know, they work a menial job, they get home, they turn on the idiot box. That movie, that was supposed to be science fiction called Idiocracy, that was not a movie, that was a documentary of the future. That's exactly what it was. Everybody's completely addicted to these stupid pills. You know, the doctors, you know, a real doctor would say, hey, you're fat, you need to eat less and exercise more, which I know. I used to be really, really skinny, yeah. I just don't give a crap anymore because I'm so busy, but I mean, but a doctor today wouldn't actually tell me, man, you need to exercise more and you need to watch what you eat. It's like, you're right. But doctors these days don't do that. Well, he's a doctor. He's got to know best. Well, I'm going to take my doctor's orders. He's a doctor. Doctors are the second leading cause of death. A doctor today, if I saw a new doctor, 99% of them, at least American ones anyway, they're like, no, we got a pill for this, and a pill for your blood pressure, and a pill for that, and a pill for this, and a pill. You just end up being a drooling zombie. That's all humanity is anymore, is a drooling zombie, and their minds are being bombarded with radiation. That's not conspiracy, that's real. Every government on earth wants two things, T and C, tracking and control. The only way you could actually increase the population and increase the labor force to produce more useless crap, you know, to feed the upper classes and also to the middle class, is track them and control them. Otherwise, a normal human being, if you get a lot of them and they're not drugged out zombies like everybody is today, they're going to peck each other to death like the chickens, except they won't be pecking each other, they'll be killing each other en masse. It will be kick-starting World War III, or at the very least, Civil War. This is instinctual. Doesn't matter what your morality or immorality is. That within human beings is as instinctual as it is in chickens. This is undeniable. It's not my opinion. It's a cold, hard fact, unfortunately. It's no different than the desire for hunger and reproduction and materialism. Well, that's actually not an innate human. Spiritual materialism is false identity. Of course, the identification phenomenology. That's a different type of materialism, but there are these native instincts within human beings, and that's one of them. All the time when we grew up, I grew up and you grew up, it was like we would, be taught stuff without being told the reason why. Well, this happened in Rome. It's like, well, why did that happen? Why is it when you get a bunch of people, like the Romans, or a bunch of people that, had a huge slave force of various countries around them, and life was cheap. Even their own lives were cheap. Plenty of Romans themselves were slaves, but especially to those that they actually conquered. Life's cheap, Let's just stick them in the arena and we'll get some, the Roman equivalent of Pepsi and popcorn and hot dogs, which of course that's not what they ate. But they did sell snacks, it'd be the family sitting in, the Colosseum watching people get hacked to death. Not like on a movie screen, but in real life. Oh man, this is great, pass the popcorn. And you see the blood squirting out of that guy's neck stump where they just chopped his head off. That's what happens. See, the Romans, they weren't pacified. They weren't hopped up on drugs. The government wasn't pacifying them with drugs and high-band microwave frequencies that induce pacified mood states. That is exactly, if human beings, Americans, any country, gets a higher density, or even in cities, that's what happens. They self-destroy. Unfortunately, that's the innate instinct characteristics of human beings and all animals. So that's not the grand illusion. That's the grand fact. The illusion is the only way you could pacify that is tracking doesn't pacify that. Control pacifies that. And that's what every government wants to do and always eagerly endeavors to do, is to induce control. Also, too, it keeps people from moving around. When you tax the hell out of them, it's like they got no money, they're working their ass off just to pay the taxes and the bills. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to give them free Wi-Fi so they could watch reruns of Ren and Stimpy and The Simpsons or whatever sort of other brain prolapsing, mindless, zombified BS that we could get them to watch. This is called the pacification box. You work people to death, they just have barely enough money to survive, but they're okay because, you know, they could pop a beer and watch reruns of Ren and Stimpy on the Idiot Box, download movies, turn on Netflix, the Disney, the Disney streaming thing that they got now. That's control. But that's only one aspect of control. Here's the aspects of control. Tax the crap out of someone so they have no room to really move around. You know, they get one shitty vacation every year. Have them be so zombified on pills and crap that they're just drooling idiots in diapers. Give them high-definition 4K idiot boxes. Bombard their brains with microwave radiation. We got 5 primary steps of human control. Tracking has been completely taken care of. Everybody now in the world, if they're like 10 years and older, has the most brilliant effing tracking device ever devised. This is not a cell phone. It's a cell phone, yeah? Everybody's addicted to it. People can't even they like freak out. Like if someone loses their cell phone, they just freak out. You ever seen that? I've seen people freak out. Oh my God, where's my cell phone? Oh my God, where is it? This is the grand illusion being played on you. Doctors prescribing you pills you don't need to turn you into a drooling idiot. You know, sitting you in front of the idiot box to watch reruns of Ren and Stimpy or whatever sort of banal crap that melts your brain. Taxing the piss out of you so you can't go anywhere or do anything. Yeah. Sticking crap in your food to turn you into a slob, which I look like a slob, don't I? Bombarding you with microwave radiation. Let me say it, and I don't do politics at all. All governments are evil. The desire for power is the very premise of pure evil and ignorance. People that want power over others are, from the standpoint of metaphysics, let me repeat that, people that want power over others are the very effing definition of evil. All governments are evil. And I'm not an anarchist. Yeah, anarchy is not a good thing. You don't want people running around with machetes doing whatever the crap that they want, right? And I'm not into politics. Not into politics at all. But all governments are evil. Some are more evil than others. But they're all evil. Because anybody that wants power over others and clamors to get it should never be given that power. This is the reason why, none of you read Plato, I'm sure, most of you didn't. It's the reason why Plato and the Platonists said that, the people that actually should be given power for a brief period of time are elected by, a circle of extremely wise people. And they would elect a person, and the person, no, I don't want that job, screw that effing job, no, you're really wise, you don't want power, you know how to take care of shit. No, I don't want the job. No, to hell with that crap. No, I'm busy reading and writing. No. Society needs you. They need your wisdom. They would elect for a period of time somebody like that. People that want power over others are the very definition of effing evil. And the first thing they want to do is track your ass and then control your ass. And that, girlfriend, is an undeniable effing fact. Mic drop.